In this episode of the Sailing Doodles podcast, we've got Sydney. She is a former crew member with Sailing Doodles. She helped us do a delivery, and then now a current crew member again. So we're going to have a lot of fun talking to her. Welcome to the Sailing Doodles podcast, where we talk to all sorts of people in the sailing and boating community. It's available wherever you get your audio podcasts and on YouTube. If you'd like to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/sailingdoodles. All right, and we're live. I don't know if you could hear her laughing in the background over that or not, but yeah, so
I always
cheers.
laugh.
Yeah, she laughs a lot. So cheers. Good to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Basically, tell me. she can't handle it. All right, so tell me a little bit about your story. Who are you? Where are you from? What's going on?
My name is Sydney.
Okay.
I'm from North Carolina. I met you in the Virgin Islands when, I guess, long story short, I graduated from college with marketing major. And then
Just a little closer there.
Okay, a little closer. Perfect.
No, it's not too close, but that's all right. Yeah, there you go.
I graduated with a marketing major.
That's okay.
Good.
All right, yeah, you're good.
And I moved to Atlanta, and I was in like the finance corporate world. And then also was in a relationship, broke up with a boyfriend, ended up following my best friend out here to the Virgin Islands, was out here doing fitness, and was a tour guide on Honeymoon Beach. Then COVID happened.
Right, yeah.
And you guys sailed up at Honeymoon Beach, and I met you guys at the bar and was your bartender, which was really fun.
Yeah, no, it's so, and then you went home for a little while though, right after that, and then you flew back to help us get back.
Definitely, yeah. Okay. So I ended up flying home because my sister had a baby. Yeah. And then I wanted to do something fun. I think at the time I was just doing like side hustle gigs. So when Sam, who is our mutual friend from the buddy boat, called me up, I was delivering flowers.
Were you really delivering flowers? Like for what? I mean, how for what company?
It was just some random friend of my mom's, and I was like just working out at home, helping be an aunt and delivering flowers for cash. So then Sam called you up and said, hey, these guys need crew. Are you interested in doing it? And I mean, what were your thoughts when you first heard about that? Sam was like, you should reach out because one, I'll be buddy boating. Yeah. And two, he was like, you've been wanting to sail and learn something new and get back on the water, because I was talking to him, I'm like, when do you think things will open back up? Because obviously we didn't know what would happen. Sure. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to reach out, and if they need extra crew, this is going to be awesome.
Oh, no, we definitely. So what we're talking about is basically last year, May 20th or so, we had to sail back, because the original plans was to take my old boat down to Grenada for hurricane season. And then COVID happened. They were shut down. So we needed to bring the boat back to the east coast of the U.S. That's a pretty long sail. We did it in like 11 days, but that was with 2 nights stopped. Otherwise, it would have been like 9 days. And that's a long way to go for a crew of 2. So we had you, and then my friend Dave came and helped out too. So we had a good time.
We had a really good time.
Was that your first real sailing experience doing that? Like
that was my first long trip on a sailboat. The only other trip that I had done was to St. Croix from St. John, which is only like 6 hours. Yeah. So when I told my parents that I was coming on the first initial delivery, they were like, what are you doing? And who are you going with? You're going to get on a sailboat with someone you don't even know? And I was like, honestly, I met them already. They seem cool, and it's an opportunity of a lifetime. Not many people get to do this.
Well, so it's like what,
might as well trust.
1,500 miles or something, whatever it is. Yeah, you don't get to do that very often. But so I mean, unfortunately, you got a little bit of a taste of it when we stopped in the Bahamas for a couple nights, but we still weren't allowed to really go ashore or do anything. But so there's a bit of a difference between doing a delivery and like being able to go cruise around the islands.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, definitely.
So now, our longest sail has been like just a few hours, right? 3 hours?
That's it, 3 hours.
Yeah.
And we've been relaxing and having so much fun. The delivery was fun, but we definitely all at one point were just like oceaned out, sunned out, and probably done talking to each other.
Well, it was 10 days straight stuck on a little boat.
With no service.
Right.
Too.
So you didn't really get to experience the cruising life on a sailboat like properly. But I mean, just being on the boat itself, what are your takeaways? Like, what did you like about being the sailboat as opposed to the motorboat, and then the motorboat versus the sailboat? Which one do you like better and why? What are the features?
I feel like I can't totally answer that because I haven't gotten the cruising experience of the sailboat. But when we were sailing, I really enjoyed just like the rocking motion over the waves. And you're like totally in when we were sailing and actually sailing with the spinnaker up.
Right.
That was so cool to just be able to sit on the front and just vibe out to the ocean and just cruise that way.
I will say, it's definitely, when you're actually under sail on a sailboat, it is pretty magical because, I mean, it's quiet and you're sitting there moving, right? I mean, so it is nice when you're doing that. And then, so far, we've had, I mean, either our legs on this boat have either been so short or we've been going straight into the wind and waves. So, I mean, like, you can go out on the bow and hang out when we're underway, especially when we're going, like, downwind or across the wind. Right. It's not too bad, but... but there's so much more spray on a motorboat too.
Oh my god!
Because we're going faster too.
Well, the power boat is awesome because like we are able to zip from here to there, and especially now with not knowing what's open and what we can do. Right. It's fun to just pop around to different places, and then I like being on the front of the boat. That's probably my favorite spot on any boat, but. It is cool to be up higher to see the view of the ocean and what you're approaching to.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, because you got to think about, I mean, for the cockpit on most sailboats, you're only like 5 feet above the water, whereas, or maybe not even that much in some sailboats, but like on this boat, I mean, we're up there, we're 10 feet above the water, 15 feet, whatever. So yeah, it is kind of nice. And then we haven't had a dinghy until recently though, so that's been kind of a pain in the ass.
That has been probably the most hilarious thing.
What?
Well, one of them that we've just had to deal with wind and getting to and from the beach that way.
Well, the video, I guess we didn't film it because the video that's coming out this week on Sailing Doodles was the one when we in Culebra trying to get the boat.
Yeah.
We didn't really film it because we were so it was blowing 20 knots and the paddleboard we were packing like a lot of stuff, so we didn't really want to take the paddle boards, and it was a long paddle in. It would have been anyway. So we loaded up the dinghy, and the motor wasn't working, and so it was easy getting downwind to the dock, but back to the dock was a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm glad that we had everybody who we had to do that.
Oh yeah, I mean, if it wasn't because I was rowing and you guys were paddling with the
we were paddling.
It would have been if it was just somebody trying to row. Oh my gosh, it would have been
no way.
Yeah, it would have been awful. So I mean, how do you like the cruising lifestyle here? I mean, like island hopping. I mean, that seems kind of like your forte, right? Because you're kind of a bit of a vagabond.
Yes, I guess so. I love seeing new spots. It's awesome to be back in the Virgin Islands territory because I can revisit friends and see the favorite beaches that I like to do. But I think my favorite part about the trip so far was Culebrita. Yeah,
Culebrita is pretty beautiful.
And just like being able to see new beaches. And I wish there was more open in the places that we have been to because then we could get like a more rich taste of what like the culture is like and the community on the different islands. But yeah, I love enjoying just meeting new people who kind of have the same vibe and energy as we do, and they're excited to see blue crystal water and sandy beaches and drink a beer on the beach. Right.
Well, I think the reason Culebrita and Culebra were so good is that I don't know, the U.S. Virgin Islands is great, but I mean, it's very crowded. There's a lot of boats here. So any anchorages that's worth anything is full all the time, or there's moorings. And so, you can't really just have a beach to yourself. You know what I mean? Like in Culebrita, there were tour boats that came every day, and there were like 3 or 4 other boats in the bay, but, most of them left by evening. And so we had the beach to ourselves, That
was awesome. Yeah. I think that's what's so appealing, too, about traveling, especially by boat. even when we did, the delivery in that longer passage, we were coming up on islands and beaches that no one was on. So when we did have that space to go explore, we're like, oh, maybe no one's found this little nook before, and we can go play and do whatever.
That's the great thing about the Bahamas, is that there are 700 islands and only like, I don't know, maybe 20 are inhabited. And so you can have your own private island every day if you want. You know what I mean?
See, that would be really fun.
Yeah. So I've already done the Bahamas like 3 times now, so I'm not going to go back through there for a while, but I don't know. I haven't really decided. I don't know. I mean, I still got to figure out what's going on, what I'm going to do. I don't know.
Mine is on other waters.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm keeping this boat for at least another year, and I'll do another season in the Caribbean. So when I put the boat away for hurricane season, then next November I'll come back to the Caribbean and hopefully hit all the places that I wasn't able to hit because COVID's closed down, and then maybe go back through the Bahamas on the way back, and I'll probably take it to the East Coast next summer, and at that point maybe sell it because you're right, the Pacific's been calling my name lately.
Yes, I wonder though what it would be like doing that same trip with this boat.
Well, can't.
You can't?
No. This boat, and it's one of those things that when you buy a boat for, say you buy a sailboat or even a trawler or whatever, until you've actually experienced sailing or trawling, you don't really know what you want in a boat. And so this boat is great. I love this boat, but it's really made for getting somewhere quick and hanging out for a couple weeks or whatever, and then going back to a marina or whatever. Whereas, because I can only go about maybe 700 miles on this boat. You know what I mean? And crossing the Pacific's like 2,700 miles. So you need at least a boat that'll do 3,000 miles.
Right.
And so a sailboat's great for that because wind is free, right? But a trawler, you would need a trawler capable of going at least a couple thousand miles because then you can add fuel bladders and do all that to get that extra range if you need it. So this boat would not be a Pacific crossing boat. I don't know what boat I will do it in. I mean, I really do like the trawler lifestyle because it's just convenient. I mean, you're a little faster and you don't have to wait on wind and all that stuff. So I don't know. But I mean, I think if I go across the Pacific again, I'll be leaning more towards catamaran, like a sailing cat.
Definitely.
Like a big one.
That would be fun.
Yeah. I've kind of, so we met some patrons, Ryan and Leslie. Yeah. And so they have a Privilege 615. I think theirs is the newer generation. But I would love something like that.
Oh, I would sleep outside on that boat.
Yeah. Well, it's a beautiful boat.
It's so beautiful.
Did you go down in and see the master cabin?
I did. Yeah. And that's like, I feel like the sailboat lifestyle would be, in my opinion, would be like more for a couple because you are living in closer quarters. This lifestyle, like how we're cruising, is way more comfortable for just hanging out, inviting people over on the boat, doing work if we need to do it, and then also working out on the back of the boat too. That's way more comfortable. But a catamaran, I feel like, would merge the two because you get like both the outside and the inside entertainment. Yeah. But you have wider space. Yeah. So you could have better dance parties.
Better dance party. Yeah. Okay. No, that's great. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the good thing about a cat is that you do have 2 hulls, right? So sorry, I got to fix this real quick. It's been bugging me. And that's what you get for doing this live. Okay. And there we go. Okay, got it fixed. So people don't know. They've asked like on the videos, like, what are you staring at down there? Well, I've actually got this keypad right here. This controls like all the various scenes. Like I can hit something, I can go there, and now it's a switch, and then I can stop and start recording. Plus, then I'm looking at the levels on the computer.
Can we have different backgrounds?
I am not that advanced. I should probably look. I'm sure it will do that. I just haven't done it.
Green screen up,
yeah,
Bobby.
Green screen. Yeah. So yeah, but yeah. I mean, for this boat, I like this boat. Especially, and a lot of trawlers are the same way, because you do have that outdoor space, which feels like you're on a boat, right? I mean, and it is nice to be out there. You're looking at the water, you're doing all that, you're feeling the wind go by. But the thing I really like about it is the interior space on this doesn't necessarily feel like a boat. It feels more like an apartment where you can just hang out. And so you get because for me anyway, after I've been on a boat for 3 months, I'm ready to get off the boat for a while. Just because, after 3 months, I'm like, okay, I could use some time off of the boat. After 6 months, I'm like, get me off this boat for like a couple weeks. You know what I mean?
I haven't even experienced that yet.
Yeah. So. Well, yeah, you haven't been on here long enough. Only a month.
I know. Yeah, a month. A little bit over.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But with this boat, I mean, if I just wanted to like hibernate and like, do nothing for a couple days and forget I'm on the water, I can do that here.
You definitely can.
Yeah. So
as long as maybe you're in a marina or a spot that's not as
rolly.
Crazy.
We've had a couple places that were not great. That one, so we were at Trunk Bay on St. John, and normally it's really not a great anchorage mooring spot because it does get a lot of swell coming through there, but the wind was out of the south and it was great. So we started off there and then it ended poorly at like 1 a.m.
Oh yeah.
That was awful.
I woke up and I just couldn't even sleep, and so I went and sat on the top of the boat and was just thinking I was going to see a mermaid or something out of the water. We were maybe going crazy too, but
you've already been crazy, so
yeah. I might be really crazy.
No, you're great. You're a lot of fun to have on the boat. So, you went home like after you sailed with us to the crossing. You went back home, North Carolina for a little bit, and then how did you end up in Hawaii?
Oh gosh.
Oh no, you don't want to talk about it?
No, we can definitely talk about it.
Okay.
So I came back from the crossing and was just at home, and I kind of just set my mind on being like an aunt. And I was just like, I'll just stay in Charlotte and this will be great. And I'll watch my little niece grow up and I'll figure out. I kind of was debating on what kind of career I wanted. But honestly, this isn't really a good time to like set in a career because my experience in corporate America was finance. And then I also lived this like totally non-traditional lifestyle of like being a little hippie girl going into the sea every day. So I wanted to find the in-between. And actually, when we met, I received an offer to be a flight attendant.
Yeah, because we were just talking about
it.
Yeah, I remember talking about that.
That we were talking about. So I was really excited about that. And I was just like, okay, I'll wait around to see... just so everyone knows.
But you can't see the clocks now.
You can't see the clocks.
Well, actually, wait, if I put it on this camera, no, you still can't see it. Okay. No, you can't see the clocks. But yeah, go ahead.
The previous podcast, everyone was complaining about it being stuck on the time. So Bobby fixed the clocks and they dinged.
Let me see. I'll just move
You got to tell them the time frame.
Yeah, so you know I fixed the clock. So now that one's reading correctly. I set that clock on 5 o'clock just because it's 5 o'clock somewhere. And then that one, I actually is the correct time, but it dings. And it's just like all the time. It's like ding, 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 ding. And it, like every half hour it goes ding. And then like so like if it's 7 o'clock, 7:30, it'll go ding, 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 ding. And then if it's 8 o'clock, it'll give you 4 sets of double dings. And so now it's just like.
Yeah. So it's a double ding clock now.
Yeah. So it's 4:30. So yeah, it just does one ding. At 5, it'll go ding, ding. Or I think. I don't know, whatever. But great.
Who knows?
You guys.
But you know.
So you guys, I mean, we did set the clocks for you there. Yes. So there you go. It's 5 o'clock somewhere on the one.
It is.
But yeah. So are you, I mean, is flight attending still an option for you? What's going on?
So I was kind of settled in on being in Charlotte and hoping that I would get a call back. You know, depending, this was like the initial stages of this pandemic.
Right.
And so I literally probably lasted, I think, like 2 months in Charlotte, and I started to get the travel itch.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm like, people are going to judge me that I want to go and travel because of what's happening in the world, but I just need to do it because I was kind of starting to go a little insane with not being close to an ocean with blue water because now I'm a brat. And
yeah.
But I started Googling wellness retreats because originally that's what I wanted to go and do, like on my time off in the off season of living on an island. I wanted to go to like a surf yoga retreat. And so I was looking up what would be in the US that I could go to. And then because I wasn't working at the time, I was like, okay, well, all I have is time. So I could work at a retreat and get the experience to then own my own retreat someday and just see what I like, see how the flow of everything goes, to have that experience, because I'm really passionate about fitness and wellness and just helping people get excited about moving their body. So I was just sending out emails. This was like, I would stay up at like 2 a.m. just sending out random emails to people all over at these different retreats. And one day I just got a call from Hawaii, and I'm like,
really?
Oh my gosh, Hawaii is calling me? What the heck? And I talked to this lady at the retreat center where I eventually moved over to, and she was like, yeah, come on, you can. I did a work trade. So you stay, and then in return for your free stay and accommodations, you work a certain amount of hours on the property. So it wasn't necessarily like, a lot of people think that I was like a woofer, which is organic farming.
Okay. What is a woofer? What is it?
It's like World Organization for Organic something. I don't know. Organic farming. But it was a holistic bed and breakfast. Okay. So I would do a little bit of both, make sure everything was good. It was definitely an experience.
Yeah.
I thought that I was roughing it when I lived in St. John.
Oh, really? It's pretty rough there?
And then I got to live in Hawaii, and I basically was in like a treehouse living. And I am born and raised in Charlotte, so I'm pretty much like a little city girl who, my family never went camping. So when I got to Hawaii, I was like, okay, I can do this.
Right.
And my first night, I was like, okay, I can do this, because it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And so now I feel like any experience that I have, like I know how simple I can actually live, and I could go and camp somewhere now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that is kind of, I think, especially your generation now, which I really like that you guys are doing this, is you're kind of putting, my generation was, okay, go to college, get a job, get the house, get the mortgage, get couple $100,000 in debt. Whereas the younger generation is more like they're valuing the experiences more than the stuff.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, they don't, I mean, not saying they don't. I mean, a lot of people get in huge amounts of student loan debt, but a lot of the kids, I mean, like Taylor, for instance, instead of going to college and getting $200,000 in debt, she's going out and experiencing the world, and she's found a way to monetize that as well. So, and I think that's, and she values the experience more than the things.
I know. And I think that's like what her and I can bond about so much, because she's so inspiring to me, and we can teach each other different things. And obviously we have so much fun together, but our minds are not on material items, and they're about experiences and trying to be really present. And so, I mean, there's a lot of things that you don't see in the background of like living a life on an island, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely, I mean, there's a lot of trade-offs. I mean, like we were talking to Sam, who's a friend of ours, and it's just like, because he's got, is he working on his master's? What is he doing?
He is working on just completing his education, and then I think he is doing a master's program in finance or business or something like that.
But he was talking about, it's just like, okay, because society kind of judges you by your status and how much money you make and all that. And he's like, I don't know. I mean, like, I kind of feel conflicted, because like I'm not doing those things, but I'm really enjoying my life.
Right.
So who's actually wasting, a lot of people are like, oh, you're wasting your life, do that. Like, who's actually wasting their life? Is it the person that goes to the cubicle every day, 40 hours or 50 hours a week, and then does the same thing every day? Or the person that goes and explores, and sure, they may not have any money to show at the end of it, but they've had a pretty awesome experience.
Right. I think it's really to each its own, because I could define success very different than someone who is living the corporate life. I got a glimpse of that life, and it was fun to, roll around in a business suit and like talk a bunch of crap to the bankers I was working with. Yeah. But at the same time, I didn't expose myself to this lifestyle to realize I loved it so much to that's what I wanted to experience. So are
you going to, I mean, could you go back to the corporate world eventually? I mean, what's the plans here?
I think I would corrupt corporate America if I went back. But I think the plan is really, and what I've kind of been learning more and more about myself is I really love fitness and wellness. And with my business background, I think I can connect the two and focus on doing something with that. And I am going back to Hawaii, and I'm really excited to go back. And
well, you're leaving here, though.
I know, but I can always come back. Yeah. My goal is just to have a setup where I can work for myself and have the fitness and maybe some passive income on hopefully building a type of retreat and maybe doing like Caribbean and Hawaii because I love them both. Yeah. This is like big dreamer, but I think I can do it. And then if you need a crew member, then I'll be like, yeah, I actually work for myself. So I can take this time off to go and explore because I love the water too.
So you say you love the Caribbean and Hawaii. What are the differences and what are the drawbacks of each one? I mean, like why do you like Hawaii so much and what does it have that the Caribbean's missing and then vice versa?
Okay. So where I live on the Big Island right now, I always tell the fact of it has 11 out of 13 climates on the Big Island of Hawaii. And I think that's super cool because I have really been able to see firsthand on like organic agricultural farming. And so you get really fresh produce there. Everything can grow in Hawaii. The downfall is we're living in the most remote place.
Right. You can't just order something on Amazon and have it the next day.
Right.
Well, you can't do that down here either.
But then the good thing too is like you can drive 45 minutes each direction, have a new adventure, which is fun. If you like to hike, if you like to dive, if you like to surf, there's all different things and activities for everybody. But it still has the city feel. So you have like Target, you have grocery stores, you have access to, whereas like being on St. John, you had to, if you needed anything, your option is Kohl's and you have to get on a ferry. And then also the produce is coming, from everywhere but St. John because the soil is not as fertile to have really good produce.
I think that's one of the drawbacks, in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure Hawaii is very expensive as well, but one of the drawbacks of the Caribbean in general, I mean, there are some bigger islands where they do grow some stuff, especially you get a little further down south, But I mean, especially places like the Bahamas, because you said the soil is, I mean, I know technically the Bahamas is not the Caribbean. Don't leave me in a comment. I got it. But, you can't, there's just not enough land to grow stuff. And so everything's got to be imported. And then so, you're doing the duties on that. Plus then you got to transport it. It's got to be transported like 3 times.
Right.
And so it is pretty expensive down here.
It is. And I know that they are doing more like hydroponic. I think that's how you say that word. Yeah. But they're doing more of that. So you can get greens and sprouts and stuff on St. John and the other islands. But I love the best pro of Hawaii is the community that I have. It's a lot of people my age right now who have the same mindset, but they're diving into more of the service field of health related stuff. So like massage therapy.
Massage therapy, okay.
A lot of like the hippie, like sound healing and stuff like that.
There's definitely a lot of hippies in Hawaii.
And yoga and fitness. And so like I relate more to this crowd rather than the community that I love here, but it's just more tourism and island beach sitting type feel.
So I mean, I've only been to Hawaii really once. I mean, I've been there a couple times on airplanes, but I don't count that because I never really left. I mean, I've only been there once for 5 days, and came across quite a few hippies when we were doing the road to Hana. But I like. Okay, I mean, I know it's me just judging from what I said you shouldn't, but whatever. I like the clean hippies, not the dirty hippies. You know what I mean?
Well, Taylor and I coined a new word.
What is that?
Called shippies.
Shippy. Okay.
We're hippies that
on a ship.
We're on a ship and we shave.
Okay, shaving hippies.
But
yes.
As a feminist, shave if you want to, shave if you don't.
Right.
Or don't shave if you don't want to. But we're clean. And we smell good.
You're right.
Maybe like essential oils. But that's okay.
I know some hippies that are like, oh man, I put some oil on it, I'm fine. I don't need a shower. I'm like, okay. I mean,
you might need a shower.
Yeah. So what is it? So that's, I guess. So what is Hawaii missing then that as St. John has better?
So St. John, I love the beaches.
Yeah.
And because Hawaii is more like there's so much energy there with like the volcanic eruptions, and on the Big Island there's like 5 volcanoes. So everywhere you go, you have the jagged, dramatic cliffs.
Right.
And you don't really have the sand.
Right. Because they're all, especially the Big Island, they're all, in relative terms, brand new. Mm-hmm. So that hasn't had time to erode to the nice soft sand beaches.
Right. And so I think when I first arrived and got out of my quarantine, because I had to do like 2 weeks in quarantine when I got to Hawaii, I hadn't gotten in the ocean. Mm-hmm. So I walked down to the best snorkel spot on the island of Hawaii. And I got in and I automatically saw like triggerfish, which you don't really see until you get into deeper water. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then right before I got in the water, someone was like, you need to be careful because it's tiger shark season and they're mating. And I'm
really?
like, you're going to tell me this? And I just jumped off a cliff into the water with snorkel gear on. It's like 50 feet under me and more. So there's more, you see bigger things rather than like the smaller fish.
Right.
But the snorkeling here in the Virgin Islands is way better. Coral reefs everywhere kind of hurting, but the beaches, the sandy beaches. Now I come here and I'm like, dang, I'll dive off the boat.
Right.
And feel really safe because I feel like I'm in a swimming pool compared to like some deep water, which is kind of scary.
It is. It is a little bit nerve-wracking. When you're out there in 30, 40 feet of water, it's not that big a deal. It doesn't feel like that big a deal.
Right.
But remember we dove on this Puerto Rican trench or jumped off the boat. There's nothing around, so it's a little scary because something big could come out from underneath you
from nowhere, and it's probably like triple the size, than onshore. But that's the same exact feeling that I got a couple of times when I was snorkeling because I'm like, the water is so deep blue.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna see, and then you just get in your mind and you're like, okay, I'm not in the Caribbean, and there's not a shallow bottom. I'm okay. I just need to let go of fear.
The water, is it much colder in Hawaii? I feel like it's colder.
We need to probably check the temperatures, but it does get colder.
Yeah.
And I think because of all the energy with the waves and it's churning from that deeper water that just keeps the water cold. And then also with the climates there, you can go in the morning from wearing like a hoodie and sweatpants and not sweating to like it being a really comfortable like 85 degrees.
Right.
That's pretty much the temperature that it stays at.
Well, it's kind of
nice.
Like, maybe like the California type, because that's, I remember going to, I think it was, we went to a San Francisco Giants game, and it was like August or something, and so I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt. I was freezing my butt off.
Right.
It was so cold. I think it was, what's his name? Can't remember his name, but he said that he's never experienced a colder winter than a summer in San Francisco. I think.
Oh, that is true.
Oh gosh. Leave me a comment. I can't remember. He's the famous. Anyway, oh well, doesn't matter.
It'll come to you.
Yeah, like 2 hours from now.
Exactly.
I'm sitting there like crap. So you've been here. It'll be about 6 weeks or so, and then you're gonna head back to Hawaii. And what are you gonna do there?
going to get back on the grind.
Yeah.
Feel like I've been relaxing and having so much fun here.
So you've been studying for your personal trainer stuff.
Yes. So with this time and uncertainty of everything, I'm just like, okay, I might as well get another certification. I have my group fitness, but right now to really be more valuable, you just have to continue to keep learning.
Right.
Like you doing your drone certification.
Right. Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah.
I'm getting my drone license. I'm getting it. So I need to.
Yes.
I need to have the. I take the test in just a few days. So maybe by the time this comes out, I'll already have it. So don't report me, please.
Please don't. Anyway, but yeah. So I just decided. I'm like, okay, I might as well just get my personal training cert. It's through NASM, which is accredited. It kind of goes back to like Sam doing his master's. It's just more professional, even if we have all these resources out there to learn and study about nutrition and health and moving your body. It's just kind of like the next thing to say, oh, I have this. So
I mean, how is like Hawaii going to be home now? Or, I mean, are you just, it is home for now or what?
It's home for now.
Okay.
Yes. So I just signed a 6-month lease.
Okay.
So I'll be there for at least 6 months, and that will be exciting. Mm-hmm. But you never know. I feel like I can just...
Might end up in Alaska or something. You never know.
You never know. I could end up in Alaska, but probably not because I really need to be by warmer water.
Oh, yeah. You see, warmer, you had to clarify with warmer because there's water in Alaska.
Glacial,
yeah, no
not
thanks.
really interested. But I think I really see myself being near the water or working on the water or in the air. Mm-hmm. So 3 choices there. You know?
Right.
So I guess I'm just going to keep doing me and enjoy where I'm at. And if I feel the itch that I need to go somewhere else, I'm sure an opportunity will present itself. And then I can figure that out later.
Yep. Well, that's good way to do it.
From a true shippy.
Yeah, right. Well, that's kind of a good thing. I mean, being able to like, that's okay. So many people that like go into the corporate life and all that, and then they get all the debt that goes with it. I mean, then they can't go like, okay, they can't just be like, you know what, I want to move to Hawaii for 6 months. I mean, they just can't do it because they have too many things tying them down. So that's pretty cool. It
is cool, and I think like the biggest comments that I get like from my friends and my family, like I like to bounce around, but at some point it's like if you do want a solid community of people, you have to be in one place for a little bit rather than like, okay, I have friends all over the place that I can visit. So I feel like you do give up a little bit in compromise to have this type of lifestyle.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it definitely, I mean, you do. I mean, yeah, because you can't have, I mean, I still have a lot of good friends back home and we keep in touch regularly, but I mean, it's like, I may only see them every 3 or 4 months. When I'm going home for a week next week for just to visit family and do a few things and buy a few things and stuff like that. But yeah, it is kind of, yeah. But I mean, there's pluses and minuses to each way. So you can't, I mean, I go home for a week and like, by day 5, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to leave.
I know. I'm the same way. But I am making a trip to Charlotte before I go back to Hawaii. So I'll spend time with my niece, my sister, go surf with my brother, hang out with my family.
Is your family at all like you are, vagabondy type thing, or are they?
No.
Okay,
so when I first moved to St. John, I like am the middle child, and I'm pretty sure like a week before that, I was still working in corporate America, and I'm sitting on the couch with my dad after I had come back from St. John. And a week before that,
you were like, you're saying when you came back last year?
This was like the first time before I like really made the leap to move to St. John.
Did you just come down here to visit then, or what?
I came down to visit.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, originally I came down just to have like a week with my best friend. Okay. She is still dating, but she was dating this lifeguard from where we went to school, and I never met him because she had one more extra semester of school. And so I was in Atlanta at that time, and she's like, yeah, I'm moving to St. John. And I'm like, 1, where's that on a map? 2, who is this guy that's influencing you to do this?
Right.
And 3, I got to come see you.
Yeah, right.
So I came out to see them and had like the best time ever. Came back, was sitting on the couch with my dad, and I'm like, I think I'm going to quit my job and become a snorkel instructor.
A snorkel instructor.
And he was like, what?
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's like, didn't you say the week before you wanted to be a firefighter? And I was like, yeah. So I think what happens with my family is they don't believe things until I actually am stepping foot on a plane.
Okay.
And they also thought that I would only make it like a month.
Right.
Living on an island. So
did you have anything saved up or anything? Or I mean, did you have a job lined up before you came down, or what? How did that go?
Oh, so when you have to work hard and like maybe multiple jobs if you want to live on an island, just because it's expensive.
Right.
And now people have the luxury of working their remote job and then relocating to the islands, which I've seen that happening a lot, especially in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Because people are like, okay, now I work remote, so I have the money and I can go and play on my time off, but maybe I have to compromise the work hours that I do. Mm-hmm. But working in tourism or hospitality, you have to hustle. So when I was down here, my best friend, Sam, was working her job. So I had a lot of free time to myself. So I went and was just like laying out on the beach and ended up meeting this woman who owned a bunch of business in the Virgin Islands. And she was like, yeah, if you ever want to come work for me, just give me a call. And of course, my crazy self is like, I'm probably going to give her a call.
Yeah, right. Why not?
And I was in a bank and commuting like 4 hours a day covering the state of North Carolina with a bank.
Yeah.
And I was just like, why am I looking at this screensaver of the beach when I could actually be there? And so I had money saved up from my corporate job, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll just do a couple months, see how it is, make money, but not really have to live off that money that I'm making. And then look at me now, I'm still living the island life.
So like the other people that are kind of living the same lifestyle, just like, hey, I'm going to move to St. John, or I'm going to move to Hawaii and do all that. I mean, how are they making ends meet? The same way, just like they move and get a job and like do 2 or 3 jobs just to be able to do it? Or how do they make the ends meet to do all that?
Well, a lot of people, so if you move to an island with St. John, you're either working as a bartender in a restaurant, as a tour guide, or on a boat. Mm-hmm. And then with how tourism is over here right now that we've seen, it's crazy. Well,
if anybody's looking for a job, come to St. John.
Literally, a boat job, if you want to do anything, they're hiring.
Yeah.
So working like that, like what I did in St. John, I was like a snorkel guide. I did hikes and kayaks. And then on the side, I also did a little bit of personal training and group fitness. And that's how I kind of made ends meet. And then in Hawaii now, I've done so many odd jobs just to like make cash and just see what I like. And I worked at a surf shop. I've done I was a mango farmer.
Mango farmer, okay.
Which is really fun and exciting.
Not really.
You wash mangoes.
mangoes.
I got to learn about all the types of mangoes. You get stung by wasps when you're freaking pruning the trees.
Yeah.
It's so fun, And then when I did my work trade, I was like installing water heaters and stuff. So just, living the life.
All right,
just doing
installing water heaters.
Different things. I've done a couple.
I could have put you. I didn't know you did all that. I could have put you to work.
Yeah. Well, now you know, and I'm heading out in a couple days. So don't let me know.
What's today? Today's we only got a week left.
I know. We have 1 week left.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Okay.
But yeah, so you kind of just, a lot of people who I meet who are my age and they might have not had the corporate experience or savings at all are definitely like working to live. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of the friends that I work with now or live and hang out with now, they like really believe in themselves, and everybody's really well educated and constantly wanting to learn new things. So I think opportunities come a little bit quicker and at a better like value for their time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So not as much like grind.
Yeah.
But still a grind.
Well, I mean,
it's
you still got to work. Yeah, it's a different. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's something different all the time, too. You're not just showing up in a business suit and going and seeing the same stuff all the time.
Right.
So, I mean, there's something to be said for that, though. I mean, if you enjoy your job, that's the thing. If you enjoy your job, I mean, it's not really work. So.
Well, if we all wanted to be, you know, an island beach hippie girl, then
it wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work.
Right, yeah.
So I'm appreciative of everybody who has their own gifts and has to hustle their own way and maybe like it. Yeah. And that's like with going back to what you were saying, is anyone in my family like that?
Right.
I have to appreciate, you know, what they're comfortable with in their life. And fortunately for me, it's like I don't really have the commitments that my family does. Like my sister's married with a kid, so she can't just up and leave, you know? And my brother's in school and maybe he'll come visit me, but he's comfortable, you know, living and doing his school and surfing on the same waves that he likes every day. So I think sometimes I have to step back and not be so pushy about the lifestyle I live.
That's true.
Because I'm like, actually, you are really happy and comfortable with your day-to-day and you have your community and routine, which is something that I definitely lack as a routine, but that's something I want to work on, but in a fun way.
Well, hey, that's the whole thing, is like everybody do what makes them happy.
Right.
Don't feel that you're forced into whatever lifestyle you're currently in just because it's expected of you. If you want to do something different, do it. Great. If you like the security of the 9 to 5 and all that, great. If not, then whatever. But anyway. Well, I tell you what, it's been awesome having you as a crew. It's so sad we only have 1 week left.
I know.
But you've been really helpful, and thank you so much for making it happen.
Yes, thanks for having me on the boat. And who knows, you might see me again.
Oh, I'm sure I'll see you again at some point. So
Hawaii first.
So okay, so it's the Sauce with Sid and on Instagram. You can check her out there. And well, thank you for tuning in. So thank you guys for watching and everything. And please click that like and subscribe button. And it's patreon.com/sailingdoodles if you'd like to support the channel. And also, I'm about to come out with another Ask Me Anything. I'll be recording that in the next few days. So our patrons get to ask whatever questions they want, and I will answer them. So it's patreon.com/sailingdoodles. So again, Sid, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. And it's almost 5. It's about to ding in about 30 seconds. It'll give us 2 dings, and then we will go to happy hour.
Perfect.
All right.
Let's go.
All right.